Hello, everyone. It is Matthew at Black Door Capital. Just having a quick end of week review here. I'm not exactly sure what to include in the weekly review every time because we're going to get back into the market Sunday. So just basically a wrap up. And what I wanted to do is focus in on the dollar index. First of all, it is Friday the 15th, and my time it's about 5 o'clock. So that's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The markets are closed, and let's have a little look here. So this is the candle that we had last Sunday when the market was opening, and we didn't have any direction. We didn't know what we were looking at, and but we talked about at least getting that dollar index down to here. You can see that it's rebounded nicely, and it's carrying on. I would be looking for further upside, and in fact, I am positioned that way, and we will talk a little bit more about that. A lot of the things that I do are off the top of my head. I do have a couple notes written down here, um, just highlighting uh, trades that we discussed and really where we took things. Most of the trade ideas are going to be in here. I was S&P short. I am still, but I scaled out of the position quite a bit. Just kind of pull this up real quick. I was short because of this pattern, and I was short for other reasons on a weekly and that sort of thing. But if you notice, I believe it'll roll over, but I didn't want the weekend exposure. So I got out of it, made a couple bucks on that trade. Could have been more, of course. It always can be. But okay, so moving on. That's the dollar index. When we spoke last, I wanted to trade when we started to get to this area. This is a daily chart. I'll be honest with you, I'd be looking for a break to the downside because the euro USD is made up of about 60% the euro index, or pardon me, the index is made up of about 60% of the euro dollar and then some other pairs. But I think what you've got is price trying to come up and just constantly being stuffed back down. And if you look at this, it is a nice flag formation right up against the trend line that we set, going back those few days that we set earlier. We didn't touch it. I don't think we even touched it come hump day analysis, the Wednesday analysis. But I think we're looking for a break to the downside. Pretty amazing, but we are stuck in this triangle, um, and we will see. I'm not in this trade or anything, so last week we highlighted a lot sitting on our hands, and it worked. I think we can all agree that if you look back in the analysis, sitting on our hands really helped us get some clarity as to the direction that we want to go. So moving into the US dollar yen, this pair was something that I highlighted, and I'm still long. I like to drop down. I want to show you something that I really admire when it comes to trading. So you've had a strong run up. Now, we talked about scalping to the downside here. I got out a little early. I was afraid of losing profits, to be honest with you, if we can be open about our emotions and fears and that sort of thing. So I had price run up. I went short and it was beautiful. It started to work into profits right away. I went to break even and then I just started getting tighter and tighter. When I got down to this area, because it was such a strong run up, I thought this might have been where the price was going to run back up. But as you can see, it hit that 50% fib, that sweet level, got to the 61.8, never closed below it, and over the next several hours, it chose to move back up. Came back down, it's making higher lows. And to me, this would be an amazing point to get in as long as there's no gaps and what have you, because you've had that run up, that pullback again, talking about fractals in the market, and then we're going to be pushing through. But yet again, we don't need any convincing in technical analysis, and especially when you notice things like this. Like this is just not, look, it is basically kissing to the half cent, or whatever, where price is hitting these EMAs and being so strongly rejected. So they do matter, and I think the conversation whether technicals matter is over, but it doesn't matter who we're trying to convince. We're just trying to show profits. So that's what I'd be looking for. We've had a run up. We haven't had a retracement of anything deeper, looking for a double bottom or anything. It can do anything, but I think to be conservative, you could have your stop down here and then probably get to a 1-to-1 at least. But we do need to focus on higher asymmetrical risk reward scenarios here. So that's what I'll be looking for. It's kind of making a bit of a flag if you start running lines from there to there, um, triangle, what have you, and it's going to be carrying on. So I think that US dollar, going back to the US dollar index, it needs to at least get to there. Price is already trending and pushing upwards. So that's my opinion. And we were on the US yen. I am long this. I got in, where was I? In and around this area. So I did watch it dwindle a little bit, but it's very confidence inspiring that the 61.8 and all that hasn't been broken and closed below. This one was an interesting one. I had a gentleman reach out to me. We didn't know, but we were talking about it rolling off and rolling down. Wednesday, we pretty much called it, said that it would be rolling down. I had a gentleman call me, ask me on TradingView right around here, I believe, or it was here, I think. And he said, "Oh, I want to go long." And I said, "Honestly, I just don't condone it. You have price coming up, but then we just sold off even further." So kind of knew that price was going to start selling off. I would be looking obviously in this area here for price to slow down. You've got your support 3 pivot. What are we showing on the daily? Yeah, we're breaking to the downside at this point. So you would be better just wait for a little pullback and try to go further downward, but I would not be longing this at anytime soon, especially with going back to our US dollar strength, even just for a little bit to start things off. So that's that one. Moving on to the odd US dollar. Honestly, the odd has been so strong against, especially the New Zealand dollar. I've been closely watching it. That amazing. So yet again, we're moving up into these channels. I would want to see a deeper correction. Maybe it's a double top. Maybe it breaks to the downside. Maybe this is completely over. But I would be waiting for at least it to break, pull back, and then drop away. And I know sometimes I can do these a little ad hoc, but we would break, we would pull back, and then we'd drop away further. And the reason I would do that is for trend lines. And I'm going to start dropping some on here. If you just start looking a little bit closer, even, you start getting these areas where you've got your double tops, and we're now at that area. Some people might want to try to long that. Personally, I would not. It goes back to our US dollar strength thesis, dropping down, testing, and pulling back. So if it dropped below it, there's always room to get back in, chasing it with our fib or allowing the market to. And I know you see a tight trend line here, but you could start doing things like this. And zones are very important. I would say everything is a zone anyways. When you start running trend lines, but this is just how I do my analysis. We're going to have a theory, and a lot of times we can just wait a very short period of time, which is till if Sunday we think something's happening, and by Wednesday we think something different's happening. If we have new information, we change. We don't try to fight the market. Once that information starts mounting against our bias, we have to be able to change. Stanley Druckenmiller is a renowned investor, billionaire, many times over, quiet individual, older gentleman, and a trusted voice in anything he says. And he'll make predictions, but he also very clearly says, I can change my position overnight. Or in the blink of an eye sort of thing. So very much the way we need to be. We want to model these individuals who see the market but know that they can be wrong because they have been wrong so many times, even when they're feeling so strong about what their convictions are, that they are mutable. So I think we're going to break out. We were in this trade. I'm going to clean this up a little bit. I think we're going to break out to the upside. Goes with our dollar strength thesis. What you can call is a shortfall. So price has moved up against the channel, it's dropped away, and a lot of times we want it to bounce between the channels like a rubber ball would. Or this time you can see it's run up and it's dropped away, but then it's arcing back. So you have this, you don't have this conviction where it's these strong drops, hitting channels, moving back up, hitting channels. You're getting these dropaways, you're getting these, and I know if I ran a fib, we could start kind of curve fitting a little bit, I guess, here. But if you start we're not even breaking below that sweet 50. Arguable whether it would have triggered a 61.8. If you considered your spread, you might have been all right there. And I'm having a hard time kind of seeing that. Anyway, so I'm still on this 15-inch laptop, staying at a beautiful friend's house. It's more like a mini resort during this time, and I'm just on this little laptop. I'm actually impressed with how good and comfortable I have been able to operate on this. Just a little bit of a plug. It's a 15.6-inch Dell OLED panel. This Dell laptop is a beast. It's not a gaming monitor. All the complaints about heat are absolutely true. Maybe I'll do a little video about it, but that's my review on it. It has a hard time expelling heat, but I'm doing just charting and some rendering of content. So it's perfect beast for me. But the OLED panel is ludicrous. The clarity that I'm looking at and the contrast. You just have these uber rich magentas, these vibrant corals and salmons. You have these stark reds with my drawing tools. You have these rich blues over here, and then it's just feast for the eyes of the color over here. It really is an amazing. Like these are so vibrant on my screen right now. Um, it's a treat, especially when I'm using my other monitor, which is a good monitor as well. It just happens to be Dell. And it's a 32 inch. It's a sizable, lovely, luscious beast. And the thing, it almost looks drowned out, and it's not its fault. It's just up against these OLED panels, which are going to be the norm. It's truly, it's just awe-inspiring. And it was just, anyways, kind of getting off track here, but that's what I'm using. I'm using this 15 inch. So if there's some things that I'm missing, um, it would be it's because I'm using this small monitor. But I introduced this heat map. I'm working with a guy managing a fund. He's been gracious enough to let me play with this. As a technician, this is something that I nerd out on because um, he's designed something that I like what I'm seeing. We need to get some more back testing, some more questions answered. But you can see it's a very clear graphical depiction um, of what the markets could be doing. Now, you get into these areas and you start getting bulls and the signals are bang on. Now you see it didn't go very far and then it dropped quite a way. You didn't get the signal there. You didn't get the signal there. You didn't get the signal there. So we're going to get some rules of how this looks. Um, Small deviation here. And you're going to we're going to lay out some rules and figure out what best to introduce this because this group is not about BS. We're not about faking it. We're not about showing just our Windsor buddies. I know you guys all do that. I did it too, but we want to profit. And this week, I'm fairly honest when I have weeks that I don't advance my account at all. I'm honest about that. But this week, I didn't look on purpose, and I was pretty flabbergasted with the advancement that I made this week. And going back into my trades, I really find that when I just get tight with my stops, become a real protectionist of my account, that I do better. And you think you're going for those big wins, those big swings for the fences. That's just not how it works for me. And I know some guys can take loss after loss after loss after loss, and then the big win, it kind of sets them up for the month. But that is not how I trade. So however you trade, whatever works for you, don't fight it. Journalytics does a nice job of presenting. If I was trading the US Swissy a bunch, it would be logged whether it's of value to me. And if it's not of value to me, then we move on. And we don't fight what the charts are telling us. If this pair doesn't want to date us, why do we want to date it? So it's a bit of a rambling there. So we showed actually, kind of happy. Now we've come by another day. We showed this arc. We showed these peaks, and I didn't touch this chart since yesterday, or pardon me, Wednesday. It's Friday today, but you can see that it's just that momentum, that rolling over, that US dollar strength showing up, and a nice strong candle. I believe that this would be more downside, and we'll talk about that on Wednesday. The breakout here, this one's a little tumultuous because we have oil, and oil I don't think has done much going sideways. And she's broken out a little bit, which is going to add US dollar strength, or pardon me, Canadian strength. And I don't know if you guys can hear this, but it doesn't rain very often in Costa Rica, but right now it is torrential. So I don't know. Hopefully Hopefully I don't lose any internet or anything like that. So I'm going to chip through this video. We'll chat when Sunday night as well. So nothing here. I'm waiting for a breakout. Um, I think if you looked at this, this would be coming together as a flag, but let's wait. Let's wait for, I know I remember going back, it was so hard for me to say wait. Um, and that's highly what I promote. There's been so many times where I just didn't know what to do and I pulled the trigger after and it just was a gift. It was the market was waiting for me. The market was ready to accept my order. Whatever time went by gave me the clarity, and it just works out well for me. So I'd be waiting for that break, pull, and then heading on off. In regards to the U.S. dollar and the CAD, I don't know if that would be the best trade. What we're trying to find, obviously, is the strengthening dollar against a currency that is weakening. And that's when you get a really strong push in the right direction. I've seen it where it's a US dollar and you get nothing and it just rolls over. It's because that currency also got strong at the same time for uh, untold amount of reasons, but currencies do that. And that's why we use stops. So moving on, hopefully I don't lose my internet here. And you can see I might have to pause this. Oh no, perfect. I'm going to try to rip through this and I'll get whatever I can of this video done. EuroCAD, this was an idea we had. I called it down here. But then I think I got in around here. I wanted a bit more confirmation and it confirmed. It moved up, it pushed up. And you can even see there's bull calls in here and that was a fake bull, but it does look like it's a flag. But so, so the price moved up and it's retraced and it's continued on. I would be looking for more upside here, but I believe I got out of this trade. I can't quite remember, but I was happy with what I did and I just moved on. I'm going to actually skip this. I won't. Let's have a quick look. So nothing really going on. This is the 4-hour chart. Actually, you know what? I want to talk about this perfectly. This trade bothered me a bit, and I'm going to explain why. I posted it, and I don't know why that's not deleting. Um, Ooh, the rain is picking up. It is. The ground needs it, but it is just teeming outside right now. So anyways, okay, so price came up and it formed a beautiful head and shoulders pattern. I posted this on Facebook on my MT4 chart because it's so clean and it was just so perfect. Um, I'm actually unsure as to why. So let me just show what I had. This is what I had here. And I'm just going to delete this, clean this up a little bit because I want to show you. Bear with me for a second here. I know I'm kind of rambling as I love to do. So this is a head and shoulders pattern. This is a technically sound pattern that fulfilled its obligations, and I, as the trader, did not maximize on this. Let me show you what I did. It was Friday. I didn't want the weekend exposure, but if you go to the neckline, which is right here, as you can see, this is your left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Neckline is right here, pretending this whole price action doesn't exist. If you trace from the neckline into the lowest part, which is roughly here, of the pattern, not to the top there, it's into the pattern here, you're in and around 60. So 0.60, you're in around 0.5%. But if we move on down to this part here and we find that same 60, same rough 0.5%, you can see I got in here, and that was one of the mistakes that I made, seeing the pattern not for what it was worth. I got in here, and I wanted it to go further, and I think my phrasing is perfect. I wanted it to go further. The market was giving me an absolute perfect setup, and then the market. I got in there on the small flag because we retraced, and maybe I apologize if it's a little. So we have our neckline here. We had a little retracement. It didn't come up to that neckline, but we got in on that small retracement and then it dropped away. If I had just simply set my target to where I knew that head and shoulders pattern would have finished its wave, I would have been out and I would have been happy. Now, even in the trade, it wasn't a full, it was just a little scalp, and I forgot what that trade was to me. And that's something that sometimes I'll have a bias to go to long on something, but then there's also a short opportunity within that long. And okay, we're on the US yen. Let me, while I do my ramblings, um, we had, this will be a good depiction for us. It was, this is a perfect trade of where I have in the past lost my focus. So we had a really strong run up. I want to be long, but I get into a short here and I want it to go further, further, and I don't get out as soon as I need to or should to go all so long. Now I have gone, kept my short, having a long, and so you're kind of hedging your moves here. But the move was up to go short here, and in those Fibonacci levels that we previously discussed, I sometimes forget, or I have in the past forgotten to go long there. So that's just an example of where I have failed at my job, and here I feel like I failed a little bit at my job. I recognized a gorgeous pattern, posted on Facebook, was just excited about it, but I forgot exactly what that pattern was to me. It wasn't how I wanted to see the market. I wanted to see the market go further, and that pattern had given me everything that it technically needed to give me, or to fulfill its pattern. So you can see that it pulled back. Now I actually got out at a small loss, so that even chapped it just a little bit further, or maybe break even. Off the top of my mind, there's been a few trades that have ripped through this week, but just to let you know that sometimes we want to keep our focus as to what we are doing here. The euro pound actually, I was confident that I had this set up because I took a scalp on it. Now, it was nothing. I grabbed the scalp in here. It moved up, shot a red candle. I grabbed the scalp knowing that it almost always carries on, like unless it's a strong reaction to the downside. So I got out. I made like next to nothing, but it was something that I did technically scalp to the downside. So this one here, we are now on the daily. I think the dailies, we already had these areas highlighted. Going back, we have that nice hammer right in the zone. Let's keep an eye on this one because I'm not sure whether I want to trade the US Swissy or the Euro Swissy, but this is bottoming out in my opinion, and we're going to look at it next week. And if we just waited for these waves to finish, we might find ourselves with a pretty good entry as well because it has failed to move all the way up. Is this an inverted head and shoulders? I don't know. Let's wait to see what happens. We're getting bull signals here. We're getting more bull signals here. Divergence you can see in there. This is something that I know I would be making notes of, and I often do have a notepad next to me just to scratch as I go along. So let's move on. It's crazy how much water is coming down right now, and especially on ground that is not primed for this much water. We'll see what happens to this hillside that I'm on. The AutoCAD, nothing that I'm going to jump into now. We did talk about, I believe we talked about price. See, if you look at just recognizing patterns here, we've had this break in the last few hours of trading below this line here, a break, it's pulled back up, and I could see more downside, especially on the CAD. Um, yeah, all right, we'll keep an eye on that as well. So sometimes what you can do is you can go in and manipulate the colors. I'm just using a scratch pad. I bounce between a bunch of different chart watch watch lists. So let's have a look, just make a note about that one. And yeah, moving on with the analysis. Obviously is broken out beautifully. These lines were left on Wednesday. We didn't know what to do, but we had a break, and I didn't trade this, but we had a break, we had a retest, and we just dropped away. This is truly a gravy setup at this point. The first area of resistance for me, like, let's be honest, I wouldn't want to be in this over the weekend, but like your support pivot 4, your support pivot 5, I would just relax and I'd be looking for a long at this one because we are selling off so much. Further downside in a more macro sense, but a scalp and then maybe further down, but I'd want to wait and see what that thing's telling us. And there's even there it is confirming, these are discussed on Sunday, updated on a Wednesday, and further bragged about or showing shame on a Friday. But there's the terrible looking arrow, and I think we're going to be looking for here till we get anywhere near. Now, it might present us a beautiful opportunity to get in, but we're going to wait for the market to show that. Um, so the odd yen here, you can see we have double tops, and then we're most likely breaking out to the downside as well. But um, so weakness for the odd, I believe, is coming unless it's paired against the the New Zealand dollar, which has just been gangbusters, just plowing through levels, which has been incredible. Like look at this on a weekly. It's just blowing through levels. Just didn't even it slowed down for a day or two there and then carried on. It's incredible. Um, so the euro odd, I have it listed. I believe we had it listed because of this area here, but we're making we're relaxing onto a 200 EMA, and that's going to matter. It's already showing a little bit of a matter here. The Hong Kong dollar, I'm not going to go over. Bitcoin, this thing, she's a bouncy Betty these days. There was a bear signal there, and it sold off to the meat of these EMAs. Like that's a value. That's a value. And it's the next day, the next candle that sold off. So we're just keeping an eye on this heat map. Just keep it. The S&P, there's so much manipulation. I got a little nervous. I made a percent, I think, or just a percent and a half or so on the S&P this week. I had a bit more in the bank, but I didn't capitalize on it. But at the end of the day, I said I made money this week proudly, and but we have our head and shoulders pattern, and then it was dropping, and this was something that I was listing in the ideas here, and you can see that right there is my idea, and it was it was it didn't quite fulfill. It made it there and started to find support, and that support I got out there. I said, you know what, this isn't going to make it any further today, and it's a Friday, and there's so much manipulation going on, so many tweets and so many crazy things going on. Um, I'm actually going to unplug my computer just in case any lightning comes at me. Okay, so let's move on a little bit. More downside. I am a perma bull, but there might be more. I don't know. Um, I'll wait for the market to tell me what it's up to. So we have oil moving off beautifully, and I couldn't be happier. We're breaking up to the upside, and I'm just going to wait to see what happens um, as oil moves up. There's a lot of lightning and thunder, and I'm just unplugging a couple sensitive instruments right now. So pardon me while I'm doing this. I'm not even going to pause the video. Okay, so yeah, with the oil, it looks like we're going up, but I would wait for any kind of short signal, and it's so sold off that um, are we going to get a deeper correction than there? Are we going to get a deeper correction than there? I don't know. These are nice levels to be buying. Holding, I don't know, but we're down under $30 a barrel, and it's just crazy to me. So, but we've swiftly broken above. Is it the 200? No. So we're back up. Let me just zoom in here. Yeah, nice flag area, breaking above this. Are you a head and shoulders? Is that a inverted head and shoulders? Yeah, I think you could call it that. Yeah, breaking over. So let's wait for it to move up, maybe even up in this area, up trying to find the support areas in here. And I don't think anyone in here listening to this is blown away by the difficulty of what I'm discussing here. There's nothing overly difficult other than time on target. Don't short it until it tells us something very clear. Don't long it until it tells us something very clear. Don't do any of shorting or longing until it starts to get to areas of interest. So just to keep an eye on things. So gold, I guess I'd even said it's going to the upside. I am a perpetual gold bull. I love gold. I own it in many different forms right now, physical, gold miners. I did try to grab a little scalp to the downside today. I closed it before Friday. I'm not trying to short gold over a weekend, that's for sure. I was in and around here. I think I lost truly a couple dollars. I just closed it because it didn't rapidly do what I wanted it to do, and so I just got out, which is something that is hard to do and learned, but you can get there. So silver, this is my pride and joy. This was all over our ideas. This was all over our, um, where are we here? US. These are all ideas. This week has been a great week. There's the third, so even well before the 10th, and it's now the 15th. I've been calling this silver long. This was my idea. I'm not taking other people on the internet or whatever at their idea. This was what I was seeing. That this just it's silver's time, and it was a beautiful trade. And like this is textbook. This is what we want to see. These are the kind of trades that if we just take our time, snipe them, these are the kind of trades that make membership worth it. If you were positioned and said, okay, I see the channel, I see the head and shoulders patterns that are developing here. I see the reasons in the economy why silver needs to be stronger. You can see that just a beautiful run up. And once it started, it never stopped. It was just you could hear a freight train behind this silver. So, anyways, if I can't think of any other interesting charts right now, um, but that is me. That is the technical analysis for May the 15th. It is roughly 7:30 now, Eastern Standard Time. It is pouring in Costa Rica. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm going to start this process again, and I'll clean up my charts, and we'll do this Sunday, and we'll just get better with this over time. I believe we've already made some changes on the indicator, and let's look to the Euro Swissy and maybe the odd CAD next week for opportunities. And if we are just constantly prepared over the long term, we can win this game of risk management, asymmetrical risk reward, patience, and discipline. This is something that I'm very excited to be able to share with you folks over the long term. That this is not a membership site where we're bragging about cars and watches. I wear G-Shock watches and uh, Nixon Tide watches. These are $100 watches, and there's no flash. There's none of that. You want to be lied to? Go join another site. You want to look at technical analysis being called before it happens on a higher probability um, execution percentage or win percentage than most people out there. Then stick around. I cherish you hanging in there with me. And this is a new venture. These videos go up privately on YouTube, and they are released. I'm playing with it, but I'm thinking maybe a week or two before they are released into the public domain, so that it keeps the exclusivity of our information and kind of what we're talking about. So this is a new venture, hitting benchmarks, hitting milestones. Really proud of what we're putting together here, and I anticipate that if we just stay the course, just like in our trading, that something great will happen over time. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to more communication with you and providing more value over time. Thank you.